What is going on, guys? It is Rexsi here. Welcome back to another video. Today, I'm going to be doing something different. It's an idea that I've had for quite a while. I know that a lot of other creators and stuff will post, like Intersect does a great example of going over very quickly the patches and stuff like that. So I feel like we already have someone in that regard. I feel like it's not going to get much better than that. But I had a couple friends that suggested that I could do something similar, but instead of going over the patch in its entirety and how it relates to the actual game, how this specific patch will affect Duel, instead of all around how it's going to feel, after the entire update. We could just look at it objectively through the perspective of a dueler and how it's actually going to affect the meta. So I thought, strike up a notepad, go through everything that I think is worth mentioning and how I personally think it is going to affect Duel in its entirety. We've got a lot to talk about here today. Lots of things that are going to affect Duel. So this is like the perfect patch to start on, I thought. The Season of Souls. There's just so many things. We'll start off with, before we do get into it, I just want to say that Smite is actually having a gem sale right now, one of the few that they have during the year, for up to 33% off for the largest purchase, which is 8,000 gems. If you go to nexus.gg/Rexsi, same price as normal gems. But, I get a cut, so you'd be helping me out. So if you want to do that, I really appreciate it. Anyways, let us get into the patch, my friends. Before we get into, like, the actual changes, let's go over the skins. Take 2 seconds. Elf Pack Fenrir. It's alright. I mean, it's not the best tier 5. The color scheme's cool. All that you can do the colors with all these 3 skins. Definitely the best skin of the patch, in my opinion. Probably the best skin of the season so far. Raw skin kind of fucking sucks. I don't even know what the hell's going on here. But alright. Cupid skin seems alright. Set on my King Arthur. Cool. Looks good. Interested in that skin. A lot of cool. I like the dark themed skins. Anyways, the first major change that I want to talk about is, hold on, let me open up my notepad here, is soul surges. So essentially, whenever a god dies, we've seen it a bit in the PTS, a soul surge will spawn, and it'll be a little circle radius that spawns a spirit minion every 10 seconds, if I'm not mistaken. So we're going to go over how this is going to affect Duel. I don't personally think this should be in Duel after reading through it, but that's up for you to interpret. And if you have any thoughts, suggestions, disagreements, agreements about this patch, I'd love to hear them in the comments, and I'd love to discuss them with you guys. Get feedback in general. Obviously, we can't know for certain until it actually comes into the game and we get enough time to actually, feel it out and see how good it's going to be. So, we got to wait until then. So essentially, the circular thing, it adds a buff. So essentially what this buff does, the buff isn't the biggest thing. The buff is good. Reading over the buff, what it is that if you are standing in this area while you're below 50% HP, or while the person that's below 50% XP essentially gets a burn damage of 2%. So it's like a dodgy 1, or like a, whatever you call it, the scepter, or the mannequins, right? Oh my god, it hasn't been in Duel for so long, I forgot it. So it's a tick damage thing that applies 2% of your current HP. Now, on paper, that can seem like it's going to be ridiculous. That's the thing. So, but the thing is that these surges only last 30 seconds. What the biggest problem about the surges is it increases the snowball mechanic to a degree. Now, since it's only 30 seconds, yes, like, the person standing in there, where you die is going to have an objective, fighting area. It's going to be really important. So if you die, let's say, near your Phoenix, right? If you die near your Phoenix, when that person pushes and is going to be fighting at your Phoenix, it's going to give an advantage. Especially, if they're lower, they're pushing. It'll be very, very much on where you die, and you can use that to your advantage. But no one's gonna fucking do that. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I can already guarantee that's not gonna happen. It's not gonna come into that big of an effect. It's kind of like the Chesters. The Chesters leave a little circle. Now, some people don't even fucking focus on Chesters, or forget about them, or they're not their biggest, focus. And I think it is also due to the fact that people are still learning about it. But it's not super common. I'll see every 10 games someone that actually brings the Chester to the appropriate spot and then kill it so that they get the movement speed boost, which can be good, but at the same time, with Duel, you're constantly rotating to all the waves. You're constantly rotating to that blue. You need to be around on the top at the timers. You need to kill the blue buff as soon as you can when it spawns, so that it spawns faster. You know, which means more XP per second, technically. So it's similar to that, where it's like you want to instantly kill it, and you're not really going to care about that circle as much. And even more so for this, because it only lasts 30 seconds. So I know some people were like, oh my god, like they're going to get the bonus, of the person that dies is going to be at a disadvantage. Honestly, the biggest thing, my biggest thing that worries me, and it's not even like the biggest worry in the world, is that it's going to provide you with additional experience. So apparently it spawns one every 10 seconds in the last 30 seconds, so that's 3 of them. So that's 3, so that's up to 90 XP and fucking 36 gold, which isn't a huge amount, but it also increases. But like I said, these stats don't really matter unless they die under Phoenix, and then you'll have some more damage, but at the same time, there's the fucking orb, so it's like, who cares? So all around, I don't think this is going to affect things very much. It'll give a bit of movement speed. I think that people were kind of putting this at a proportion, which we do with a lot of things in Duel. I don't think this is the main focus on what's going to be bad about these changes, because it's only going to be there for 30 seconds. Like making sure that you kill someone at a specific spot. There's just way too many variables, so I don't think it's something that we're going to need to worry about too much. It's a little weird that it is in Duel, and I don't think it should be. But the only advantages I can see are like, oh, you kill someone near Bull Demon, you get the extra power to kill Bull Demon more easily or something. I don't know. It's tough to say with changes in Duel like that. Like the Duel Orb, I thought was gonna fucking kill Duel. I straight up thought Duel Orb was gonna kill Duel, and I don't even think I don't really think like it's the biggest game changer in the world. It's only annoying in very specific situations. It's kind of ridiculous when, you know, you accidentally die near your Phoenix and this bullshitter that's fucking 0-4 kills you once and can just take out the whole Phoenix because he's an ADC. Whereas, you know, a lot of characters that don't even have attack stims and they go up to the Phoenix, they're not going to be able to get that whole fucking thing. Like, let alone if they're low, to get in range to hit it, deactivate it, and kill it before they can even get out. I don't think it did all that much other than give an advantage to those that already, you know, that didn't need it. The biggest change for Duel that would help the mode entirely is right here, which is so they started this with they decreased the shutdown reward, you know, but what they need to do for Duel is completely disable shutdown rewards, as well as bounties and as well as revenge gold. That is the number one thing that Hi-Rez needs to do. And I really hope they do it soon, because it's something that everyone complains about. Like, you can be ahead the entire game, get killed once, because when you're killed once, not only do you get the revenge gold, but if you die at a bad time, you can lose everything on the map. Everything. They can run through, they can fuck Chester, the red buff, the blue buff, the mids. They can get to all of that. And then, you know, they can just back and then do their own blue and all that, you know. So they get so much of a one kill to the point where these extended bounty kills and revenge kills just are not worth it. They're just dumb for Duel. But yeah, Soul Surges, all in all, I don't think they're going to be game breaking. Again, I don't see the need for them in Duel, but whatever. All right, on to the next change. Going off a first new change would be the new Glyphs. The first two would be the new upgraded Relic Dagger, which I don't see it having too much use, just because Relic Dagger isn't like the most, you know, picked up meta item in the game, but super niche gods like, say, Tyr, for example, could make good use of this. You know, you blink, boom, and then your protection's like very, very niche gods that would actually benefit from using Relic Dagger. I think are the only ones that could. This is going to be good on. So Tyr's probably fucking hooting and hollering and dancing because he can, you know, have a glyph. Not only does he have Relic Dagger, but he also has the reduced attack speed. And in terms of glyphs, it's starting to get to the point where Hi-Rez might need to make it so you can get 2 glyphs. I know that they've been talking about it, so maybe they'll do it. But yeah, so very neat change here. The next glyph is the Rune-Forged Hammer Tier 4s, which is the Flame-Forged Hammer as well as Rune-Breaking Hammer. Now, with these, Rune-Forged in general, I want to get into this more later when we get into the big nerfs. But in general, people aren't picking up Runeforged as much in Duel, or more protection items in general, ever since they removed the bruiser aspect of items and stuff like that. So there's no more bruiser items. So it's just not as effective a lot of the times to build a Runeforged hammer when you're not, like, getting barely any protections. But, like, it gives a lot of health, you know, but it's not... I don't know. Like, it's like you're either going power, you're going defense nowadays, and it's like, if you have either or, like, Runeforged isn't really much defense, and in terms of power, it's just giving you that CC bonus, power bonus. So it's not going to be seen as much, but the problem is that now, after the big changes, we could see more of this. Because we're going to see a lot more tanky characters in the Duel meta after this, which we'll get into after. But this could make things like Flameforge quite a bit better, because it drops a little circle on the ground where enemies take 10% more damage, and they're also burned based on your protection. So if you build more protections, you know, you hit it with a Glad Shield build on a tankier character, like, say, Chalk or something, or I don't remember the exact CC that procs Runeforge, but someone that can proc Runeforge relatively easily, and then get a bit of a hybrid-based build, which is going to be even harder to kill because of the changes, but we'll get into that in a moment. And then it's kind of the same thing with this. They're kind of similar passives, but this one makes it so people deal 10% less damage, and then you will essentially deal 10% more damage to them. So, again, things that might come into fruition once the changes happen with the power reduc, but we'll get into that. Okay, and the final glyph is the Pridwin glyph. I will say immediately, I don't think people are going to be building this very much, although it does seem pretty good. All around, it's very, 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 very uncommon that you see people building hybrid defense items, like magical and physical defense in the same item. It's just not a common thing in Duel. It doesn't have very many benefits. It's so niche. The only time it was ever worth was when they had this stupid fucking animosity thing. So, essentially, this new Pridwin has a double explosion, which I don't think I see this getting, like, I don't see this lasting very long. I don't know. But having a 25% slow for 3 seconds, exploding for 75% of your protections, and then gaining a shield 90% of your protections and exploding again. It's a lot of fucking shields, dude. And then this one is 200% as opposed to the 75. And then it explodes, boom, and then it applies the slow. So they're kind of similar. This one just has like a shield, and this is the double explosion. Again, I don't know how that's going to affect the main game, but I don't personally think people are going to be building it in Duel regardless, but we'll see. And now we have to talk about the biggest change that is coming in the 10.6 patch, which is, to sum it up very simply, all tier 3 items are now going to be reduced in power by 30%. All power items 30%, and then increased, you know, health and physical, all the protections by 15%. They also changed the passives and everything, which kind of sucks because they round up to 5, like they say, which kind of makes Transcendence even worse, which sucks. So, let's talk about this. I will give my personal opinion and my thoughts on this. If you agree, you disagree, that's fine by me. Just make sure to keep it civil in the comments and talk about it. I personally think this is fucking stupid. It might, you know what? I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. It might be better in Conquest. I genuinely think that it could be better in Conquest overall, for balance changes, for making games last the appropriate length of time, for better scaling, maybe, you know. But for Duel, this fucking sucks. This sucks ass. Like, I'm not kidding. This, essentially what this means, prepare yourself. Right now, at the top of the line, ability-based characters that can heal and are tanky, not necessarily need to heal, but Vital Lamp is also extremely strong, are going to absolutely run the Duel meta. They are going to be running the Duel meta for a little while, at least while this change is active, because it's going to be like the same exact thing that happened after the 9.5 patch. I fucking hate the 9.5 patch. I feel like it just slowed the game just to slow the game. And for Duel, it made so many characters completely unviable. It literally... Me personally, I hate it because Thanatos was fucking awesome. And nowadays, it's still possible to play the guy, but it is 5 times harder. The increase in health. And now, it's going to be even harder for certain characters to even be playable. Like, Susanoo, like certain gods, like lots of assassins, lower tier ADCs, Guardians, good luck, like were made almost nearly unplayable after the 9.5 patch because of the increase in health, increase in protections. It just made it so these gods that were supposed to be able to do something early game just can't compete with like gods that have better sustain or are a little tankier in the early game. You just don't have a chance, dude. And now gods like Hercules, who are already running the duel scene, mind you, like people just aren't playing them as much as they should. Like, have this meta is just literally going to be like Chalks, fucking Hercules, just warrior central, just tankier characters in general are just going to blast off after this update, and it's gonna be a slow meta in my opinion. So as you can see, everything across the board was slapped, including my baby. And I don't think, like, maybe it'll be good for Conquest, maybe it'll be good for casual modes, but even when I played Uller on a casual, he felt so much worse. Like, he feels a lot worse, and he's already not, like, god tier right now. So, yeah, everything across the board. But what they did do after this, although they did that, for some reason, they fucking completely changed the fact. They just completely reverted all the penetration changes. So now, everything that was reduced is now increased. So it helps a little bit. But at the same time, it doesn't really. Because the 9.5 patch was, I hated it. Like, with the increase in health. I'm saying this all for Duel, by the way. This has nothing to do with casual modes. I wasn't a huge fan of them either, but I'm mainly talking about Duel. Didn't like the 9.5 patch. I thought it was just ridiculous. It was just bloating the game to make the games last longer. It was just slow-ass games. And then, not only that, they also reduced penetration. They reduced penetration, so now it can be only capped at 32, and then the base on a lot of pen items, like Titan's Bane, would be 16% as opposed to 20. Now, although they're reverting this, which is nice, it still doesn't change the fact that even though it's reverted, the power on these items is still much lower, so it doesn't really do all that much. If anything, it's still worse. Like yeah, Titan's Bane, fucking tits, Titans. Oh, they don't show it because they just reverted it. But the power, wait, what? Am I crazy? Why didn't it show up? But yeah, so now, although you're going 16% pen to 20, you have 15 less power. That's objectively still way worse. It's so weird that they went through this big change with penetration, immediately took it away, and then made an even more drastic change, which scares me because they had such confidence in the changes with penetration that they just rolled it out immediately, and like it was a change that I don't think very many people liked, and then they revert it, but they do an even more drastic change after the first one didn't necessarily work, which kind of fucking worries me. So yeah, all in all, I think that this patch is gonna be a little iffy for Duel. We won't be able to completely tell until it comes to the meta, but I personally think that it's gonna make Duel even more slow. Like, Duel was already so slow after the 9.5 changes, especially the other map. Luckily, they switched the maps. But yeah, all in all, this patch is not gonna be that great for Duel unless you're like a fucking warrior main, I guess, you know, hallelujah. I think for the health of Duel, it's not gonna be that good though. It's gonna make so many more gods less viable, less playable, which sucks because it's just like a tier list. It's just gonna be, I'm betting it's gonna be a warrior meta. It's gonna be a tankier warrior meta. Ability-based tankier characters, or even just ability-based characters building tank and taking advantage of the fact that people have very, very little power. And they can abuse that and just have like additional protections in their kit, whether it be from abilities or just building more protection items in general, and like just health-based items, because even Kins now, look at Kins, dude. So now Kins went from 3% to 1.5 at 250 increased health. So have fun dealing with people with a fucking monstrosity amount of HP. It's gonna be something. But that's just my thoughts. I might be right, I might be wrong. We will have to see tomorrow when the Season of Souls actually it gets put into the game. If you have thoughts, you like the video, you want me to do more of these on each patch, just talk away and just explain what's going to happen and my thoughts on it, be sure to let me know in the comments. If you have something you agree with, something you disagree with, I'd love to hear it. So let me know. Let's talk about it. Anyways, hope you guys enjoy the Season of Souls tomorrow. I'm excited for the skins more than anything, but alright. Thank you guys for watching. Bye-bye.